Mix holiday special. Now, I am definitely trying to channel my inner Sinatra here. You might ask why? Number one, it's a special, so I felt I should probably put on a different hat. Number two, how could you not want to emulate an artist like Frank Sinatra? The man not only made the most iconic music to this day, but he also starred in motion pictures. But in just acting movies, he won Academy Awards. He could do everything from drama to comedy and everything in between. When I do the In the Mix show or the Justin Thomas show, I try to be a little bit of a Renaissance man myself. I like to try to use all the tools I have in my skill set. Now, I don't have a voice like Frank, but I try to use what I have. And if I don't have it, we try to bring in special guests, as we do on In the Mix, and as we will do for this special. We will be covering some of the top stories in the fandoms today. Everything from what I'm referring to as Carlgate, the backlash from the Walking Dead fans with the death of Carl Grimes, to net neutrality, a highly debated topic that could very possibly drastically change the way we view our content. And also the ongoing power struggle in Hollywood when we look at the Disney and Fox deal, in the battle of the streaming services, along with a special never seen before reaction from Broke Black Man 94 and some Christmas trivia from Milt K. We'll also be joined by some of the best creators out there who were kind enough to send their holiday wishes in.
Hi everyone, this is Robert from Indie Geek, wishing you the happiest of holidays. Have a great break and may 2018 be an amazing year for you. Take care and I'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas!
Alright, we are jumping into our first segment of the night. Walking Dead will be on far after we're all dead, which is a good thing, I guess. Yeah. It shows dedication on their part. I don't know. Well, before we jump into it, let's talk about the panelist. First off, we have our Australian friend, the delightful Andrew. He's definitely more informed than any Walking Dead YouTuber I've ever seen, and he doesn't even have a YouTube channel, which is good for me. Yeah, don't get a YouTube channel, Andrew. Andrew is a comic enthusiast, but also very, very well informed about the show, very well versed. He always has great input, and we're always happy to have him on, especially since he usually has to be on until the late hours of the morning, because I don't understand time difference. Next up, we have Milt K. Definitely boasting the highest education level of the In the Mix crew. He came on, as most people do, as a guest exploration geophysicist to talk about Game of Thrones. A very common thing. Check in the link. That happened twice. Told you, we try to be different. Milt is a comic enthusiast first and show watcher after, but does not let his bias get into his opinion and stays level-headed, and we mostly agree. And when we disagree, we always disagree to disagree. And last but not least, the man that makes sure to be on every stream that he can possibly be on, Broke Black Man 94. We reached out to a number of talented content creators who we personally enjoy, and we know you guys most likely will too, and asked them to send their holiday wishes out to you guys. Earlier, we saw Indie Geek send his wishes over, which I couldn't be more proud to have him on this channel. And now, yet another great content creator, Azora Hype.
Hey everyone, it's Azora Hype here, wishing you a holly jolly Christmas. And really, I just want to wish all of you a happy holidays. From my family to yours, be safe, be eating lots of good food, have a good time, and most of all, don't stress. Happy holidays, and may the old gods and the new watch over you.
Alright everybody, welcome to our first official segment where we will be doing a roundtable discussion on the Walking Dead situation and me pretty much trying to come to terms with understanding that people give such a fuck about Carl. Chandler Riggs lost his job and everybody seems to care about Chandler Riggs now. This huge departure from the comic seems to be bothering even the casual fans, so we're going to talk about it. And we are recording, so holiday special. There you go. We will be talking about The Walking Dead and what I'm referring to as Carlgate. the situation with Chandler Riggs where he lost his job evidently, and a lot of people like Chandler Riggs out of nowhere now, and it seems to be an issue. I didn't know losing your job made you so likable. That's not my personal experience, but we are going to be talking about what these two gentlemen and myself thought about the first half of the season, and we are going to be talking about Chandler Riggs specifically. And these two guys read all the comics, so we're going to be getting some insight from that too. Andrew, I'd like to welcome you to the show all the way from Australia. We're recording this on a Saturday in the real world America, and it is already the future in Australia. And so I guess Merry Christmas Eve to you, mate.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Festivus to us all. It's a great time of year, and I'm glad to be on the show, and I'm glad to talk about one of my favorite things, The Walking Dead. So thanks for having me.
No problem. How does it feel in this day and age to say my favorite thing, The Walking Dead? That used to be such a proud thing to say for people. Is it still a proud thing for you to say?
Totally. I have not lost faith in The Walking Dead. I still love this show. I think a lot of people out there these days, it's popular to hate shit now. It's just the cool thing to do, just dislike everything. I'm a lover. I'm here to talk about the things I love about The Walking Dead, not what I hate about it. There's plenty of good things still going on, and there's plenty of good things still to come.
Enjoy. And when we live in such a world, why not enjoy The Walking Dead? Milt, how are you today over in Texas, the most America part of America?
I am doing swell, Justin and Andrew. Thanks for having me. Just want to wish everybody happy holidays, season's greetings, and Merry Christmas. Hope you spend a great time with your loved ones wherever you are. And as usual, always glad to be here as the voice of reason and pragmatism, as well as being the resident hater of the team.
Just a dishonest person in general. Talking about what we liked, what we disliked. Did it meet our expectations? Are we finished with The Walking Dead like many people are saying? Are we just content like some of us may be? I want to hear all the ins and outs. These two gentlemen are quite versed in the topic, so I'm very excited to hear it. So Andrew, happy, unhappy? Did it fulfill all your hopes? Because this is a big season, all-out war. I mean, did you think, first off, when the show started, that we'd ever get to this point? And now that we've gotten to this point, are you happy with the outcome so far?
Look, I'm pretty happy with the way that most of The Walking Dead has gone. Every season's had its downfalls in different spots. But, I feel this season has been misinterpreted by a lot of people where I actually liked it. I thought it was covering a lot of the comic stuff, and it really liked actually how they made the flow of things go. I loved having Shiva. She was just the most amazing thing in the show. I was always concerned about how they were going to do her, from what you see in the comic books, and you're just like, is this even going to look good on TV? And I think they pulled it off. And that the death scene really got got me going. I was, but I am an animal lover, so so I did think they've had some pretty impactful stuff this season. There's emotional stuff with Daryl. Maggie's character, it's grown so much. Since Glenn's toughened, so there's a lot of good things to talk about. But in perspective, of course,
the pacing, obviously last season it was not up to par. I don't think there's very many people happy with it. And the Shiva is also a good point, because I think that people really underestimate the difficulty from bringing something from the panel of a comic book to the big screen. And I do agree it was done well. Now, as far as pacing goes, I do agree with you for the most part, but I would like to hear maybe one that you wished it would have went a little bit different.
Hard to say, really. I think, I'm a Negan lover, but probably even the Negan episode with Father Gabriel was probably not as lived up to my hopes as it did. You know, we got to see Negan in the first episode, and then he's gone, and he's the new main, you know, the new major character, and this is who we want to see in all the episodes, and we don't see him again. And then all of a sudden it was this slow kind of scene, and, you know, it made a point, and, you know, it told a story, but I kind of wanted more out of that episode, of all of the episodes.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I really love the interaction with Gabriel. I think that surprisingly, I would definitely pick the episode 2. It was where they had the elongated action sequences where we had attacks on all fronts, and that was when it ends with Ezekiel in the kingdom being almost annihilated. I believe that was episode 2, correct? There's a lot of action.
Yeah,
where Eric dies. That's the boyfriend,
loss,
right?
Yeah.
Big loss.
Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck about him. I was like, oh no, not Eric. Yeah.
Episode 2?
I think so, because the first episode you have the whole let's go up and kill Negan.
Yeah.
You got the opportunity to kill Negan, so let's not do that. And then episode 2 was like the plan being acted out, but I had a big issue with it because I thought that they really showed that they were not, and Gimple mentioned in Talking Dead that they only had 8 days to do it, so that, you know, you can definitely tell he wasn't too happy with the outcome, because they had never done big action scenes like that. We're having like full on like 20 on 20, you know, they just couldn't, the production, you know, just couldn't deal with that size. I wasn't really aware of like where they were attacking. You know what I mean? Like they could have had a scene where it was them like over a map, you know, showing where they're at. But obviously we know they were attacking establishments. But I think that Walking Dead put too much faith in the intelligence of their fans, which is something weird to say.
Yeah.
But about you, Milt, what was your favorite episode? What was your least favorite episode? And what was your general feeling about the first half of season 8's All Out War?
You know, honestly, I love this. I love the season in general. I think it was very action packed. I think it was consistent with the storylines in the comics. I really liked the nonstop action of of basically the war against the Saviors. I think it was well thought out in terms of how they banded together in a realistic way to basically go after these guys. Compared to previous seasons, this season has been twice as good as probably last season, and at least 10 times as better as The Last Jedi. F you, Disney, for stealing my $20. And the acting's been good. The deaths have been consistent, mostly with the comics. Shiva dying is, probably a below daughter PETA activist out there, but it was consistent with the storyline. The biggest twist, obviously, is what we're getting to later, is Carlgate. But it's, I liked it. I mean, from a Walking Dead fan's point of view, I think it's been well done. From a new person just getting into The Walking Dead, it may not be as satisfactory because there hasn't been as much character development this season. I mean, we've only really had one episode of true character development, and that was probably, I think it was like 2 episodes ago, where they were dealing with the aftermath of the kingdom falling apart. Rick was dealing with the aftermath of, I think, being in the trash can, with the garbage people, or dumpster, or whatever. And I think there was one more scene with the hilltop and dealing with the prisoners in the hilltop, and Maggie's, character development there, and Jesus's character development there. But in general, I liked it. Favorite episode is probably going to be the first 2 or 3 episodes. It's kind of a blur because the first 3 episodes were just basically nonstop action, right? It's basically about, Alexandria, the hilltop, and the kingdom basically formulating this plan and basically kicking the Savior's ass. And it wasn't until their own terrorists screwed the whole thing up that we got to the point where we are right now with the good guys being in danger.
Yeah, I agree. As soon as I asked Andrew that question, I started to think myself what I was going to pick, and I was like, oh shit, that's a really hard question to answer, because I think it speaks to it being well paced out, because last season we knew what episode was what, because it literally was like, that's the Oceanside episode. That's the episode where, they were only at the hilltop. So that does show, a mix. I think that it was a little bit too hectic, and they should have slowed it down, because, like you said, it has a very valid point about if you were just tuning in for this season, you would not, you would see the show as like a cheap action, series, because this is the payoff for these story arcs. All the emotion has led to this rage, and now I think we're gonna, arc back down, especially with the Carl Gate and Maggie's, turn to with the prisoner kill. I would say, I guess if I had to pick a favorite episode, I would pick. Damn, that's such a why'd I ask that question? It's kind of hard. I really enjoy, and I think this was the second episode, which I hated everything about it, except for that was the episode where Morales popped up at the end, right? Because they're trying to get these big guns. Yeah, but I am a huge fan, because one of what they do well with action, those gritty battles with Rick. Those throat biting. Andrew Lincoln is one hell of a physical actor, and those fight scenes are so realistic in most cases. The eye gouging, the just, you can see him shoving his thumb into the throat, the biting, the whimpering, of what happens. Everybody thinks of fights, and I was a boxer, oh, it's going to be this awesome thing, and then you get into a fight, and it's just it's horrible. It's a horrible, scarring experience, because you're being bludgeoned or bludgeoning somebody to death, and it's sloppy as all hell. It's not a movie where you're ducking and weaving. It's not sparring. So it's putting a guy's head on a hook. I have never killed anybody. I just want to say that. But I really think that they do those personal scenes well, and they don't do a lot of shaky cam or anything. So that I really loved that. I hated the Morales thing, but really love that. Now, I do have some issues. He blatantly says that all he had to do is kill Negan. Now, do either one of you, really quick, think that it would have been impossible for him to kill Negan when Negan stepped out, right when they pulled up at first? Really quick.
Well, yeah. I think he was not in a position to kill them right there and then, because he had all his allies with him, right? And you don't want to kill a leader of a group in front of all their subjects in that way. It makes you kind of look like a coward, right? Because presumably you're under kind of like a flag of truce at that time. So, what that would do is just probably stir up a lot more hatred, towards each other, and it would have been just a big old melee at that time if they decided to shoot him down at that point.
For sure.
Really? Yeah. The Hilltop, Alexandria, and the Kingdom, they're basically posing themselves as having a high moral standard versus the saviors, right? And to do that would be totally against that impression that they're trying to portray.
I get the psychology behind it, but I just, I have a few issues with it, because number one, even though I can see the other side of the story, and, they viciously murdered people in their sleep, and that's why the Glenn and Abraham situation happened. But let's think about that for a moment. They played games. They just didn't, get their revenge. They stopped a pregnant woman from getting to the doctor. They toyed with them like they were animals before they let it happen. And as far as the shooting Negan and then having then they lose that whole shtick about we're not like him. We really want peace. We're not just here to take over. We want to just rid you of your problem. So I do understand that to a point. I find it a little bit hard to believe that Rick emotionally just wouldn't shoot, or especially Maggie. I thought she's just going to shoot. That'd be awesome. but also they pulled up, and I didn't see it as a white flag situation as much, especially because I don't think that they were in danger. I mean, I guess what you're saying is the danger would have been the like political, kickback from it. But also, Negan was that sure that he decided without even thinking to walk out there. You know what I mean? That's a little unbelievable to me. Like, maybe Rick knew he wasn't going to shoot him, but that was a little bit. He's like, well, let's see what they want. Looks like they, you know what I mean? And he just walked, and the captains walked right out there. I'm like, no, let's like yell to them. You know what I mean? Like, he walked out there knowing, he's like, nope, with the game they're playing, they're not going to kill me right now. You know, that's a big gamble. You're rolling the dice on that. You're like, well, I hope his moral compass is fucking in tune today, because I did, I really like how Negan says that Rick gets people killed and Negan kills people, and that is true. Kind of a little bit of a paradox too. It's neither is great, but
yeah. But ever since we've met Negan, ever since he's appeared in the show, he's always been. I mean, that's been his MO, right? I mean, he stood out in front of the gates of Alexandria last season, right? He could have been shot dead right there too. That's just. I mean, that's his shtick, right? He's just so self-confident, or his character is just so self-confident. That he'll do those type of things. That's totally consistent with his character that's been developed so far in the show.
He's 10 foot tall and bulletproof. He doesn't think anyone can get him.
Yeah.
Like he said to Gabriel, he'll survive this world because he's just that fucking good,
Yeah. Yeah, and he's quick with that baseball bat. I really wish they never would have done that. Because that's some hocus pocus shit. So, okay. I still do find it, I totally agree with you guys, and it totally meets like with mentally where these characters have been. In speaking about mentally where people have been back, I do have another issue. Remember the last time we excuse me. I do have another issue. Remember the last time that we saw Carl before this season? He was he went to the sanctuary. And from what I remember, he was very violent, right? And wanted to kill everybody, correct? And then he came back. I mean, would you say that Carl was violent till the end last season? I definitely would say that he was, right?
I think Carl's character has completely changed from that moment that he was with Negan. I think it was a life-changing thing from there on, and he's applied this completely different way of life since. And we obviously see who he is right up until the mid-season finale.
But then at the season finale, he's the one that starts. He makes the first move and he caps. I mean, of course they're being threatened, but he's there with the gun, and he caps, like, it was pretty sweet. He caps like 7 people. Like, he's the one that like got the jump on him. I that's the best argument I've heard. But Carl has done something that I really do not appreciate when it comes to a story, and that is he went through a major character change, in my opinion, off screen, and for really no solid explanation. The best one is the Negan one, but I think I would have to rewatch. And of course, yes, his life was saved or whatever. But I mean, he was still a pretty angry kid and pretty set on, killing everybody. And now we came back and different Carl. What do you think, Milt?
I mean, Carl's story arc is kind of interesting in the sense that he's still a kid, right? So if you take into account the fact that he is a teenager, you have hormones raging over the place. Yeah, I mean, actions are going to be very inconsistent. There is no consistency in a character of a teenager, right? Wild emotional swings. So from that point of view, I mean, I'm not saying that the story writers are actually taking this into account, because I don't think they're that bright. But from a typical teenager's point of view, it makes sense for him to have these wild emotional swings and different ways of dealing with certain situations. I would say, though, is that at least from this season on, is that I can believe his character change in the sense that he is seeing things that are going drastically wrong with his dad. His dad's becoming more violent and more dark, and he's trying to switch the other way. In fact, I mean, I'd like to talk about this a little bit more towards the end, but I think there is basically right now two different forces trying to sway Rick's decisions, right? You have the dark forces, which consists of Darrow now, and Tara, with the forces of light, which is trying to swing him back into being a little bit more merciful, which is, I think, Maggie and Carl. And we can get back into that stuff later on, because I think that's a really interesting dichotomy as to what's happening in the actual, alliance group. But no. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with Carl's basically character changes, if you will, because that I think would be expected from a teenage boy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll call it a Freaky Friday situation where he switch. I think that obviously you're both correct with all the trauma and stuff that he's experienced, and he's seen his father. That he's seen so much. Obviously, I just personally, and not to sound like elitist, but I would have wrote in like just one simple dream sequence when he wakes up in sweats of him, like doing the flashbacks of the mom. The capping of all the people he's capped. And I think that would have been a simple and a quick way, especially because if you want to look at it from a production standpoint, you can have Chandler Riggs, who's acting as questionable, lay in a bed and you can recycle scenes. And you know what I mean? Like I would appreciate stuff like that. I don't think that we should be expected to like have to justify it or head like and that's, I talk about this a lot. I think that a lot of us are really good at it. Like Andrew didn't know that question was coming. He had a quick fire answer. It's like a lawyer for the show. It's like, well, after the Negan incident, this is why. It's. I think that it should be shown on screen to a point. Something. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but there was a pretty drastic change. I mean, he was pretty bloodthirsty still at the end, but I mean, valid points. And yes, we will address that at the end, Milt. I think that those are good ideas. I actually had the same idea, so I would like to take credit for them. No, we will do it. We'll cut that part. So let's.
Thank you, Justin.
I would say, yeah, whatever, man. I forgot what you said we were going to talk about anyways. No, I think that it's a valid point. Change with Carl. Another one is Michonne. Before we move on, what is the reasoning for her not being utilized? Did you guys find that weird? Is it because she got beat up? That was another one that I mean, there's far more of a reason, like at least a visual, reason she for some reason got the shit kicked out of her. But her just sitting around at Alexandria, that ain't Michonne. What do you guys think's going on with her?
I honestly think it had everything to do with the Black Panther contract. I think that she was busy on the set of that, and obviously probably carrying across with the. I think that she was busy on the set of that, and obviously probably carrying across with the new Avengers film, and kind of got written in that she wasn't working as much on set for the first 8 episodes, and you probably see her more in the next 8 episodes.
I literally forgot that she was in Marvel's Black Panther. So when you first said that, I thought you were just implying that she was part of a racist radical group, and that was taking up all her time. And I wanted to say, want to know what? I'm a modern white man that might identify.
Yeah, so it makes sense for her to stay behind in Alexandria while everybody else is fighting. So it's a question of timeline, right? I mean, no, it was 3 months after the siege of Alexandria from last season. Yeah, then you start to question why she's not doing her bit, fighting this war. But my feeling is that this was a short continuation of last season, and this all-out war happened probably a couple of weeks after the events of last season.
I would say month and a half max. Yeah, and that's max. I would say a couple of weeks. Because I mean, we do see the process for the most part.
Yeah.
And you got to figure if you are going to think about it the psychology behind it that you would want to take that, because you're forcing a whole bunch of freaking people that, they're not soldiers to go with a bunch of guns and kill people. You're going to want to use that momentum you got off that, that end little skirmish you had where they did, I guess, technically win. You don't want to have people sit around and wait for a while to think about the people they killed or, being killed. You want to get them where that blood's still hot. I think that Andrews, I didn't even have max. And that's max, I would say a couple of weeks. Because we do see the process for the most part. Yeah. And you got to figure if you are going to think about it, the psychology behind it that you would want to take that, because you're forcing a whole bunch of freaking people that, they're not soldiers to go with a bunch of guns and kill people. You're going to want to use that momentum you got off that, that end little skirmish you had where they did, I guess, technically win. You don't want to have people sit around and wait for a while to think about the people they killed or, being killed. You want to get them where that blood's still hot. I think that Andrews, I didn't even realize that she was on another thing, but yep, sometimes it is just that, you look at that IMDb and you realize, well, that's because she was working and making some money on something else. It does kind of suck though, because I think most of us would agree it is out of character for her not to be in the action. But then they did choose to have her leave the truck when Daryl had that awesome plan that was like really technical about slamming a truck into that wall. She was like, sounds a little risky. He's like, I don't care. I'm driving the truck into the wall. It'll be fine. She's like, I'm just saying. Yeah.
What if she's pregnant?
Acting a strategic genius for sure, But anyway,
worked when I punched Negan.
I said, what if she's pregnant?
And I've been, you bastard. I've got a theory. So I don't want it. Yeah. What better way to not have The Walking Dead's never taken one of any of those cheap dumpster, ideas. You're right. Too much integrity. But we'll get back to that. And I think that Andrew, me and you. So anyways, as far as far-fetched, what's the reasoning for Rick going to the garbage people alone? And I get the whole, I actually don't get it. I mean, I do kind of get it, but at the same time, like, I would be like, no, you're not doing that. Like, we have more people. They're garbage people. I'm pretty sure they've proven that you can't be trusted in the worst possible way. Let's not send you there by yourself. What was that called for? Did that make sense to you guys? Or is it got more holes than some Swiss cheese? Are you guys gonna, script doctor it and make it so it makes sense?
I don't think it really made sense from, like, why would you go to these people that turned on you last time? It was crazy. I think it was just a bit of fan service to bring the garbage pail kids back, because they've introduced, all these different societies. I mean, in the comics, there's all different groups out there. And, so they're creating groups in the show. And, these garbage pail kids, I just think that it was really just fan service more so to bring them back into the show this year.
I mean, from a strategic standpoint, if you read Rick's mind, it makes sense from a political view, okay? In the sense that, he wants them to unify with the Lions to basically present a united front against the Sabers. Fine, I get that. From a tactical point of view, it made no sense whatsoever for him to go there alone to negotiate with these people who have already betrayed them whatsoever. And
he risked absolutely everything.
Yeah. I mean, he was stuffed into a garbage can. Yeah. 5 minutes later, it doesn't make sense for him to go in there alone. I mean,
it was a Connex and it had an eye hole. I totally agree with you on because I think the psychology behind it is that if they went in there full force and forced them, then they for sure couldn't trust them again. So he wanted to show, which it's like, fuck no, I probably just would have went there with everybody and killed them like viciously, the kids first.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like those 20 or 30 people in there is going to tip the scales in any kind of battle. Honestly, I mean, they're pretty much worthless garbage people.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be anti-garbage people, but they're worthless at this point. You know, yeah. I mean, they don't have the numbers to really tip the scales for any battle.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think, and we'll get back to it really quick. Is the numbers are kind of been vague, so then I hate it when they bring up that they need like this like minute amount, like you're saying. But I mean, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I guess like it's so risky and so fucking stupid. But you know, like, oh, if I go there by myself, you know, that will show them, I guess, like that I am willing to put my life in their hands again. But then, like, if I was them, I'd be like, I don't want to team up with somebody that's this fucking reckless. You know what I mean? And I mean, thank God they're just weirdos that wanted to sketch him and put him in a situation where they're, you know, it's pretty much like the same thing, the equivalent of like laser sharks from Austin Powers on the head, you know, where they put him in a weird situation that's like very hard. They should just shoot the guy, but you know, it's like this elaborate way to kill them. But yeah, going there by himself, like, you know, and I guess Daryl didn't argue because they had their tiff, which I hated. I was like, I have some guilty pleasures, and their bromance is one of them. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And he's like, he's like, I guess I'm walking. He's like, yes, you are, and drives off. I'm like, fuck you, Daryl. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, man? And fuck you, Rick, for caring about Morales, dude. Yeah. Like, nobody cares. And I wish that Daryl would have said, when Rick started saying, you know who that was? He'd be like, no, I don't. That was season 1. Nobody cares. I think that's the guy that's doing like background work on the Gilmore Girls. So yeah, I shot him. Don't
ever trust a person with a bad haircut. He should learn that lesson from last season.
Yeah, he had a big monologue. He's like, yeah, Rick, look at you now. I'd be like, look at you. I mean, none of us are doing great. You know what I mean? Like, and why'd you watch the murder? Like, why didn't you help the guy? Like, look at you. Like, what the fuck? Now you're going to take care of that kid? I would have dropped that baby out the window and be like, yeah, look at me. Yeah, this has to be technically a step back for him, correct?
Yeah, he's you know, from his, I guess, looking at his issues, yeah, I mean, he's pretty much regressed into the old, you know, into the old way that he was in season 3 and 4 when he went crazy, right?
I don't think he's that bad, though.
Yeah, but he's heading towards that. And, you know, this is what happens when you don't have pharmaceuticals available, you know, in the zombie apocalypse. I mean, there's nothing to calm him down. You know, he had a very traumatic event where his mentee, you know, that kid from the kingdom was brutally killed, right, by the Sabers. And I don't know. I mean, to me, I think his time is done. But,
sadistic.
You know, I mean, I think he doesn't really have a story arc anymore besides flipping from being sane to insane. So
well, maybe, maybe the Fear the Walking Dead will give us the view of, because that's a good question. Who is the real Morgan? Is he the one that is like a mess and he won't kill his wife? It's like, you know, how many people would just jump at the opportunity to shoot their wife? You know what I mean? Like, it's not a it's not a like typical. It's hard to like, you know, like see like what the goal, like what when they map it out, like, you know, like Morgan is here. Okay, here's his conflict. His conflict is himself, it's struggle within, but it's like, what will make Morgan happy? Because the Zen's life doesn't make him happy. Murdering people doesn't make him happy. I mean, I don't see any love interests or anything like that, that he kept saying. I thought that, you know, because now we have to justify Rick saving Negan, and it's going to be a little bit harder because of the Carl thing. So I guess maybe let's jump into that next. In the comics, spoiler, no spoiler alert for anybody. Actually, this is how we do things. This won't ruin anything. In the comics, Negan doesn't get killed. Rick keeps him alive, and it's awesome. But it's mostly to do with Carl, I think. And Carl definitely, if it's not, Carl definitely has a big, you know, those are epic scenes where Carl's talking to him in the jail. So do you think my thoughts on this is there's a possibility that because Carl's still going to be alive for the season, you know, the second half premiere, that Negan is going to show some mercy because Negan likes himself some Carl. We all know that. And if he hears about this, that Negan is going to like do like a like a ceasefire or something, like there's got to be something to show compassion from Negan for Rick to ever show him compassion. What's your guys' views on that?
Well, okay, I guess I'll go. Honestly, personally, I don't think Negan will even know that Carl's going to die. I think they're in two different places at once. I mean, it's not like Rick's going to basically go up to Negan with a white flag and goes, "Hey, let's stop fighting because Carl's dying." No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the war will still go on, and Negan will have no idea. Maybe in a future episode, Negan will find out and then show some remorse, but I don't think it will affect the short term, basically outcome of the war going on right now.
Let me throw this at you. Do you think it's a possibility, since Carl still has things to do? I think he is going to be mobile, that Carl goes to Negan and shows him.
Remember, I mean, Carl tried to do that, right? He tried to sacrifice himself because he knew he was dying. And remember that whole scene at the wall, right? Mm-hmm. Carl wanted to surrender himself to Negan at that point because he knew. I don't think
he was playing the game. I mean, he was buying time, and yes, I mean it was less of a concern of death because it's at the doorstep. No, and I just want to say that Chandler Riggs, I am not like a guy that's like, man, that kid can act, and I don't hate him because a child actor. Think about it. What he started when he was like 6 or something. A child actor, what you need from them is for them to be like attentive, for them to be able to memorize lines, and for them to have parents that are going to deal with it. And Chandler Riggs has a dad that seems like a total stage freaking dad. He does tours of stuff. We'll get into it at the end, but I personally think he's a scumbag. You don't really look at like, oh man, the kid can emote so well. I mean, yeah, you want him to be a good actor, but really you want something you can control the most. So if a child becomes a good actor, that's great, but it is no way guaranteed, So I think the scene by him was very impressive. The writing was very impressive. I love how they didn't show us, but they showed us, but they didn't show us. And I really think that was well done. And his little speech, his monologue up there was really great, but I think there's a chance that because he has some meaning. He's going to do something big, guys. What is that big thing going to be? I mean, he brought Sadiq in, so I'm sure everybody, and I'm so surprised that Rick isn't just killing him because I know he's not really responsible. But do you think that the animal and Rick really could separate that? Because, he's thinking in his head, he's like, if this motherfucker wouldn't have been getting food, my son would still be alive.
Point in continuing that charade, they just may as well have let him die in the tunnel.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is the point of having him come back? I think I don't think he's going to die from that bite. I think that he is going to do it. It's going to have to be a play, I mean, because there just is no damn point. He should have just died in the sewer.
I want to give the writers a little bit of credit here. I don't think. I want to disagree with Andrew about the Negan thing. I don't think Negan's going to play much into Carl's last days on Earth. I think this will be the start of Rick's redemption, back to being the old Rick. Okay, because all throughout, especially this season, it's been Carl telling Rick or showing Rick how it is to be merciful, right? How to help Sadiq at the gas station. Give him food and stuff like that. I think the last days of Carl is going to be showing Rick, basically bringing Rick back into, being a merciful person. Okay, not being this gun, trigger happy douchebag that he is right now. Okay, I think that's going to be the ultimate value of Carl dying, is that he's going to show his dad what it is to be human again.
Yeah. I mean, it does add up because that's why I thought it was Morgan. Like what was the meaning, what caused Rick to, in that first scene we see in the first episode, with those teary eyes to come to that point. And I mean, it does kind of sucks. It's like, well, maybe, I don't know if I would take the, life lessons from my son that got fucking killed getting bit by a fucking walker delivering canned food. But, I do agree with you, all jokes aside. But I think that could still be, I don't think that you need to exclude Negan. For as much as the writers and AMC would like to exclude Jeffrey Dean Morgan from the episode because of financial reasons, and they would love you, you know what I mean? They'd be like, oh, that's great. No more, no Jeffrey on that one.
Yeah.
Right, there's up some Christmas bonuses. So yeah, I think we can achieve both. I think we can get the Rick's lesson, but I think that there's going to be some type of I don't really know. I don't know. I'd have to think about how I'd write it, and then I could talk to a good writer, and they'd figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, the way I envisioned it, would be that Negan will feel the effects of Carl's deaths later on. If it's anything like the comic books, this is a perfect segue into why Rick saves them in the comics.
Yeah.
It's all for Carl. All right, I'm not sure if I spoiled something here, but that's.
No, dude, spoil. Like, what do you mean? Like, we anybody that's watching this, like, and they don't want to know anything, then they are like somebody that doesn't want hepatitis but sticks their hand into the fucking bin of needles at the doctor's, and it's like, well, I don't want to get anything, but yeah, go dip in your fucking hands where you don't belong. All right. I don't feel sorry for those people. Yeah, I'm a bad person. So, but thank you for being reserved. So I think that we all agree that I think that this is a tough season to do for the show, because it's they did a lot of building. Like, that arc went up drastically in the last season, and it was such a slow burn of it pissing you off. Like, every episode Negan was like, how's it feel to suck my dick? And you're like, kill him, just fucking kill him, you know what I mean? And then we're dealing with this episode, so it's like, it's a hard payoff to really pay off, and especially when that they're going to keep him alive. But final answer on this one, then we're going to move on to the end. Do you think with the money situation with AMC, because they are some fucking penny pinching people, do you think there's a chance, especially with Jeffrey Dean Morgan being a actor in demand and not Andrew Lincoln, who I think took vows to do this show and only this show for the rest of his life? I think there's a chance that Negan doesn't stay alive. I think there is a chance, especially now with this departure from the comic books. Andrew?
I think that currently Negan's still a cash cow for them, and even though he's the most expensive item on the show at the moment, I do believe that they're going to keep him for at least another season to 2 seasons maximum. There's storylines to use him in. I feel he has a purpose in what's to come, and I'm sure Milt would feel the same way after reading comics as well.
I definitely feel that way. I'm just saying, it's obviously, I mean, Carl also had a role to play, but I do lean towards he will stay alive, especially because that conversation he had, we are building empathy for the man, and they're not going to build it. I don't know. They do build it to kill. Now I'm very conflicted. Now I just confused myself. Mel, thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of money, I don't think, yes, they are penny pinchers, but I think if it's to progress the storyline, I'm sure they can find the money to basically have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, for a couple more years. I think he has to stay alive, because I still think that's where the value of Carl dying and showing Rick the value of mercy, basically the idea of mercy, basically comes into play. Keep him alive as a reminder of anything as to basically what you shouldn't be doing, what you shouldn't do, in the future world. Also, I mean, I got some tinfoil theories but that's why we're here to disagree, right?
No,
hey,
I disagree.
If we're killing Carl, anything's could possibly happen. So, he's such a major part of the comics, so I kind of see it going further. I think they're going to drag the war out longer, because it's not as interesting it is more interesting than having Negan sitting in a fucking cell all day.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because that's not good television. And to pay Jeffrey Dean Morgan to the only benefit to that is he doesn't have to be on location. But I don't see the direct correlation between Carl's death. I'm interested to see how this is going to change Rick, because we see in the preview Rick is being quite crass with Negan on that walkie-talkie. He actually threatens him, and that is against the law, and he was a police officer. He said he's going to kill him. And I'm like, buddy, slow down. But is he going to go to Animal Rick? Or, I mean, because I think he has to go to Animal Rick before he goes to Red-Eyed Eyeliner Crying Rick. Because he's obviously not going to be stable. I mean, he lost Coral. I think it's going to be confusing.
I don't know. I think they're going to write it the way where, again, I think Carl's death will have some meaningful positive impact on Rick. I don't think Rick's going to go crazy, because Rick can't blame anybody for this, right? I mean, there's nobody to take vengeance on for Carl's death, right?
Yeah.
Carl was bitten by a walker when he was out walking in the woods, saving Sadiq, right? 2 episodes ago.
There's nobody
to take vengeance on. It doesn't make sense to blame Negan for this. It's not Negan's fault that Carl was walking out in the woods saving Sadiq. Okay?
Well, before Andrew finally gets to talk, so we've been interrupting him, I will say that you don't have to blame Negan, because Negan's already the enemy, and that when usually like somebody close to you dies and you've already had a pretty hard go at it, you're going to be pretty emotional, and you're not going to be like, well, I talked to it with Susan, my therapist, and she said Negan wasn't directly, responsible, so there's no way I can take this out on him. They're trying to murder him already, so his mental stability is going to go fucking down the drain. It's, Carl died. Carl sucked, in my opinion, so I would be like, man, I'm so sad, but also like wink at Michonne and make, now we can have a good one. But my point is that he's going to be unstable, and it's not going to be, when you're unstable, you don't think about like, well, who's the right person to murder? Because Negan is the person they're trying to get anyways. I think that he's going to be a little bit off kilter. I think this is going to actually bring Daryl back into the mix, because everybody's going to be comforting Rick, because he lost Carl. So I think that this is going to band them around him, and I think that they're going to pick up the whole mantra, and I think that they've already said it. I think Rick has said that this is our family, and when everybody was there. So I think it's going to be like that, like type of deal. And I think that Rick is going to, kind of go away for a while. At the beginning of the next season, we're going to see the rise of Maggie. And now, Andrew, that's why you're the best guest. You can now speak, because I'll probably edit out all the crap I said anyways. And BBM, everything you're texting is completely true. And
you guys on Andrea in the comics, she was so much better than the whole Michonne thing. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. They should never change that. As for the next 8 episodes coming out, I think I've said it before. I think there's more war coming. I don't think it's going to be the peace story yet. The peace story's coming, Milt. It's coming, but it won't be for
at the end of the season.
No, I'd say there's going to be another year of war. They'll stretch this out, man.
I agree. I mean, you have to think about it. It's so much easier in a comic that on panel that is far easier. And BBM, come in now. If you're at home, what the fuck are you? Put the camera on and come on in. But yeah, I agree with Andrew. And I didn't think about this before. What do you bastard? Toys R Us has made you freaking lackadaisical. That Joffrey. Love to have you here, though. But yeah, I think I really got to agree with Andrew on this. Think about it. Putting Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a cell is not only like literally like AMC looking at burning money. It's not enticing television whatsoever. And I think that the Whisperer War will come very quick. It'll come like it might even come before this is done. The war they're having, and might be the my enemy is, your enemy, blah, 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 that type of deal. That would be more of a, when you're doing it on screen, the way to go about it is because the action wouldn't stop, but there'd be some strategy. We do need the action to stop, because I liked what we saw so far, but now I just want some detailed planning, and I want some direct, very pointed, attacks, decisive. Big things, not just everybody's got machine guns, bullets were an issue, but now they're not evidently. I want some very direct stuff, but I agree with you. I mean, they will put Negan in a cell, and you will get that iconic, you'll get Negan in that cell, but then they will open the door and be like, all right, let's do television though now, because that will fucking suck. I think that, they either have to kill him or they have to use him.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to pay Jeffrey Dean Morgan to sit around, and now he doesn't even have Coral to talk to. Who's he going to talk to?
I mean, the time jump in the comics, they becoming allies of Rick against the Whisperers. So I can see it happening, but I just can't see how we can drag this war on any longer. Honestly, maybe there'll be some sort of armistice, or maybe they will capture Negan, right? But right immediately after that, the Whisperers threat probably will come on board, and then that's when we actually see probably Negan.
Well, he does have the beard. They do have the beard, so there will be a time jump because Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan did have that beard, so they were testing that. I mean, that's the thing now with like social media. It's like, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely going to be the ragged him, and that'll be him getting out of the cell. You're correct, but I really truly believe that. I think the whole Carl death. I mean, because obviously Carl does mean something to Negan. I think that could bond Rick and Negan. To be honest, I think that he could see that as just such a senseless loss of life, and that they need to band together. And then you put in some fucking freaks walking around and shit. Negan ain't gonna put up with that shit. You know what I mean? He's just too damn good at what he does. So I predict a mostly Andrew outcome on this with a little side of Milton. I'd like to see what BBM has to say about it. BBM, welcome to the holiday special.
Hey all, bro, Blackman94 here. Again, sorry my lateness, Made sure I clocked in at Toys R Us, clocked out, and made it back just in time. So Andrew doesn't have to replace me. We need a minority in this podcast, and I'm glad to fill that in.
Oh, what am I? What am I?
I thought you.
And what am I if not a minority?
Well, number one, I think that you're going a little bit ahead of yourself, BBM, because you said going to be replaced. I'm considering giving your place back on a temporary status, but Andrew is now your superior. Milt, I also thought you were an accountant. I'm not sure what you're doing on camera. Doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm also unorganized, so we'll see how it goes. No, this is the family right here. I don't trust a lot of other people. I can make my bad jokes with you guys. So if any of you guys screw me, I will come down on you with the thunder of 30 men. I swear. So yeah, what do you think about 20 good men is so good. Just give me 20 good men. He's like, you're not very good at fighting, Ramsey. You know that. He's like, fuck that. So BBM, we've been discussing the Carl situation. We've been discussing how they're going to deal with Jeffrey Dean Morgan if they're going to follow the comics. Spoilers have been released. We don't play that game here. Don't hold back. Do you think that there is a chance of Jeffrey Dean Morgan Negan actually being killed? Do you think that the Carl being killed off is going to maybe clear the way for Judith? Also, did you enjoy the first half of the season? Because actually, I think you were more disappointed. You were more boisterous about your disappointment than anybody. You were actually using some foul language. I found it quite disturbing. So I'd like to hear your overall feelings and predictions, sir.
The starters, before the season began, I was on the hype train for this season. Everyone was like, broke, it's going to be terrible. I was like, it's not going to be terrible. It's going to be all-out war. First episode happened, disappointed. Next few episodes, it was getting interesting, and then bam, disappointment again. It was like how people felt about how their hatred for season 7 was is now my hatred for season 8. It's like I still love season 7, but it's like the season here is just like garbage. I'm like, really? Just really. If they gave me a Negan origin story, then I'll be okay. But they robbed me of that. They gave us like, oh, he was this and that at one point, but then it's like we had to deal with Father Gabriel and him trying to escape. Funny how they escaped that, yet Carl ends up being bitten. There's just no logic here, Walking Dead writers. I don't know. But my feelings towards the Carl being bitten, a die-hard Carl fan, You can see my Funko Pops here of Walking Dead characters. You don't see a Carl in sight at all because he's not a favorite of mine. So why would I bother buying him? Maybe now he actually might be collectible and might actually have his price even higher since he's now dead. But even then, it's like, until I see them actually burying his damn body and not pulling a Glenn dumpster part 2, if they actually do that, the first episode, that'll be done. I won't be doing reactions. Maybe I'll talk with you occasionally on the podcast about it. Even then, I might just end up start binging it, because what's the point of it all if they're just going to psych us out with a death? Like, I don't know. I already hear.
Let me interrupt you on this one. Number one, you loved season 7. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, I did. I love season 7. You knew I love that Tara solo episode, and you still haven't watched it.
No, because I'm not a sadist.
Watch it.
Listen, I don't mean this in a racial way, but you are the biggest minority ever. Like, is there one DVD sale for season 7? That's you. Like, nobody likes season 7, and you hate this season?
Yeah.
Okay, and the Carl thing, I get what you're worried about, but there is no way that that's not happening, because they would not be keeping him on staff with the way his father has been interacting with journalists and the way even Chandler Riggs has been. But again, you loved season 7, Broke Black Man 94, and you vowed to...
You can quote me on that. You quote me.
I'm so disappointed. Everything was wrong. What'd you like about it? How bad? Like, oh, you liked it because it was like so bad that it was good. You're like, how could you write an episode that was so bad?
No.
I get
Season
that.
7 by far was my favorite. Season 8 alone, it was just disappointment. Like, you can't just go on an interview saying it's going to be all out war and hardly anything happened within these 8 episodes. It's like
they shot those windows. I'm not.
How many times they wasted bullets? Like, they established in season 7 that they ran low on ammo and stuff, and they keep on taking their guns, and yet they're just shooting. Oh my gosh. And then I forgot what episode it was where they actually did run out of bullets. So it's like, so now they run out of bullets after all this firing.
Well, the Olivia's dead, or whoever used to do inventory for everybody. We talked about this. Now I'm interested because, like Andrew said at the beginning, a very profound saying that it's easy to hate. And I love the hate as well. And I'm going to get on this hate train with you a little bit too. I've been pretty happy. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, though. We have different opinions. Even like,
well, no, everybody has a different opinion from that. I
disliked season 2, and you said that I was like your greatest. But even then, I would rather watch season 2 along with Wonder Woman same time than go through a rewatch of season 8 first half. I wouldn't.
Yeah, and like nobody, that's not just me and you disagreeing, that's you going against the world watching season 7. But okay, here's the issue with the bullets. That's inconsistent. How about let's talk about Carl's character change from going from Captain Plate Crazy last season to being the bringer of canned goods to Sadiq. And let's talk a little bit about the decision that Rick made. Did you think it was smart? And do you think there was any way for the writers to, like when they sat around the table and they were explaining what was going to happen, they're like, and Rick must go there by himself to show faith in them. Can you come to any conclusion in your head that doesn't include a lot of drugs that all the writers were like, that makes sense. We'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that was completely stupid. Again, another reason I hate the episode. They could have straight up killed him, but just imprisoning him and then just toying with them, like really, they really could have killed him off. Not only that, though, they see the pictures of the sanctuary like surrounded by freaking walkers. About to say zombie, they're not zombies, but it's like if they were really that loyal to Negan, why did it says, you know what, just tie him up. Let's go to the sanctuary, clear off these walkers, so then we can help them. So you can actually truly predict that they were going to eventually just help Rick, but they were just really just toying with them. Not even that. After Rick fell off again that metal walk or whatever, it's like they really could have just shot him down, dead. Period. There, but they didn't. It's like the logic there. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, there's the issues with it, and I don't think that they're trying to prove that. Like, I don't think if anybody was worried that Rick was going to die from the garbage people, I would have them immediately taken to a mental hospital and at least get an IQ test. You know what I mean? Just because they seem to not understand. I would just be like, even if it was my kid, I'd be like, okay, well, he's a dumb piece of shit, so he needs to get some, some type of therapy or go to some place.
Exactly. I would have been worried if it was like Aaron, if he went, or Father Gabriel, maybe.
The issue is, I think that the point that they weren't trying to put stakes on the line for Rick or make anybody, fear for his welfare. I think they were trying to show character, like show what type of guy Rick Grimes is. Unnecessary risk taker, in my opinion. I don't think it was a good move, but I think that was the motivation behind it. They weren't, trying to like fake us out like he was going to die.
It was still stupid, man. They should have went back to Oceanside, in my opinion, which eventually they did, though. But that's where it should have gone. Even Bob, like the first thing they were saying was like, "I shot you." Like, "I shot you." I'm like, dude, they shot you. They were going to portray Negan, and then they didn't portray Negan. They betrayed you guys, so they're going to flip back and forth here. Immediately after this war, if they do win, which obviously they will win, I would immediately have shot and killed them all.
What did Rick keep saying when she said that she shot him? He kept saying it was a ricochet or something. What did he keep saying?
Graze me or something like that. Or you
grazed me. I think that was the writer saying, remember how we messed up we shot Rick and then he was just fine. And then Michonne got punched in the face and she's like been out of action for 2 years. I think they're like, we got to do a little bit of dialogue that says, he's like, yeah, well, actually you just nicked me. And how'd she just nick him from like right there? Like that's just poor fucking not craftsmanship. That's poor form. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there's some issues with. I think that there's a big issue with me believing that Maggie or Rick wouldn't have killed Negan. And even if it was that power move, that's a big ballsy move by Negan to just assume that he's like, no, the ploy is to make me look like the bad guy and them the good guy. So I'll go ahead and walk out on my porch. It's like I dare any of you to have that much confidence in the psyche behind your enemy. Like Milt's like, no, listen, I'm a little brighter than this. I find fucking oil. That guy's not going to shoot me. I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to be all casual and it's going to be okay, people. And you can all come out too, and I'm probably going to be pretty rude to them as well. Like that's just it. I think that they should have put it in a situation where it was like they couldn't get a shot. You know what I mean? Like they should have had Maggie like almost go for it and have somebody stop her because like it wasn't gonna like be a clean shot and then it would have escalated things. You know what I mean? Like a little bit more realism because like if you even like run over like my foot or something and then I see you. Like I'm not gonna be able to stop myself from fucking like attacking to a point. It's like you killed my husband or whatever, and like all my friends. It's like you can't just walk out with your fucking stupid bat that you killed him with and been like, "How's it going? Sorry, I was in a meeting." It's like, oh, you're delightful. You know what I mean? So, but these gentlemen have brought up some good points. I've agreed, and I do think that it is a psychological game. I just think that a psychological game with people that are both sides are murderers and guns are pointing at one side is a very dangerous game to play. It's almost a wicked game that they play. Such wicked games.
If they kill Negan, it'll just simply be because... No, I highly doubt they will kill him. I wish they'd kill him off because now he's boring. Like, I enjoyed him in season 7. Now it's just like, the only thing we're getting is just him in his jacket and dick jokes and balls and like...
What was he doing in 7? Knocking on doors and doing dick jokes. I mean, you have a...
Yeah, but now it's not being consistent. Now you're just saying it just randomly. I'm just like, oh, really? Come on now.
As far as his origin story, it's not time for it yet. And I feel a little bit of...
it's not time for it. Let's go travel back. What was it? Season 3 or 4, whatever. Like, season 3, we were introduced to the governor. Then what was it? Season 4, we got his origin. Here we are, season 7.
I hated his origin, by the way.
Season 6, we get like whispers of Negan, and then season 7 we got Negan. Season 8, here we are, still Negan. They could have easily given us the origin story as the black and white flashbacks or whatever they want to do, whatever, instead of these like close-up screen of like FaceTime, whatever, of every single character. And then they could have just transitioned to the point where, okay, next episode we're gonna have again Father Gabriel and freaking Negan.
But there's also conflict. There's also conflict that's happening right now. So they're dropping morsels to invoke empathy, but they can't just go and make Negan into the likable person yet. That has to come for when he comes to their side. They can't. This is the beginning. That was like the third episode of All Out War. They can't make the enemy like this empathetic guy right away, but they did. I think they did it perfectly by dropping the morsels of humanizing him slightly. And he had a good point. Like, I mean, it just sounded good that Rick gets people killed and he kills people. That, the saviors thing. That was a way for you to be like, well, you want to know what? Those are some good points, but I'm still not, like fucking fully on board. And they even did it when he's like, he made him go to the cellar, whatever, but he said burn him there nicely. So you're seeing these little like chicken feed being dropped. You know what I mean? They can't just be like, guess what? Guess who's a good guy? Negan is. Everybody want to hear his backstory during All Out War? Then you're watching like two good people kill each other. And I mean, I don't know. You are a sadist for sure because you love Seven. You just want to.
No. Let's look at. I'm not the only one. You see Andrew's freaking profile picture. You see him with a freaking Lucille. No, I'm not the only one.
That's a good art. That's art.
Long live freaking Negan. Like, seriously, it's like, I don't see like people saying, like, sometimes I'm in aminos, and they keep on saying like how Negan is this villain, whatever. I'm just like, really? Compare Negan to the governor and tell me who's evil, or even the cannibals and who's evil. Like, come on now. Negan again, and then they bring up the Negan killed Glenn, but it's like, it had to have been done. How many people have Rick and crew killed before even like the Saviors even got a chance to? So it's like, it's kind of equal footing there.
It is, and of course it is, and I think that's the point of it. But I mean, at the same time, we're seeing it from their point of view, so we're connected with their characters. The only thing that's separating the flow of the empathy is the connection to the character. So when you completely plug in Negan to our heartstrings, that's a very terrible metaphor, then we will see his side completely. But that's the way stories work, is you always care for the people.
Dead writers, they're failing to actually want me to actually hate.
I don't think they're great. I think I could write just as good as them, if not better. But I think that it would be stupid for them to go full on like, let's do the turn for Negan, whatever they say in wrestling, make him a face. Is that what it's called? I mean, Andrew, what do you have to say about these obscene allegations that have come in from Broke Black Man in these wicked games that we play? Wicked games.
Well, firstly, the wrestling term's a heel. A face is the good guy. So the
that's what I meant, though. Turn from a heel to a face.
Yeah. Yep. So, yep. Well, I love Negan. There's not a thing wrong with him. To me, I've enjoyed him this season. I enjoyed him last season. I enjoyed him at the end of season 6. He's my favorite character. He is now, since he killed my last favorite character, which was Abraham. Which Abraham was one hell of a character, if you ask me.
But really? would you agree?
I doubt we're ever bringing back up, though. We keep on bringing up Glenn, but it's like Abraham.
I don't give a shit about him.
Sasha.
But I think that what I should have said is, because I do agree. I think we all like Negan, but we should have the understanding of why Rick and crew doesn't like him, and that's where the change happens. Because Negan is a charismatic, villain for them. He's their adversary, but I mean, just that. Everybody's a good guy in their own eyes. So it's when Rick starts to empathize with him that's the turn. I don't think that they wouldn't have cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan if they didn't want us to like him. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a great guy.
But Rick is just as much a bad guy as what Negan is. Like,
you don't have to convince me of that. Yeah. I'm just saying that the emotional connection is going to be way stronger with Rick. I mean, it's just the setup of the show. And I think that that's what kind of makes it interesting is that, you find yourself questioning why you're rooting for these people. Because then you think of it, it's like, oh, I can't even, it's like devastating to see Glenn get hit with that baseball bat, but then like a few episodes before, he was like, wait till they're sleeping and then stab them in their temples. You know what I mean? Like, you're a murderer. So, but you know, people that are on death row, their family go and watch them get electrocuted and they cry after they killed 8 kids, but that's the people they knew. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, that never stops your family from being your family, you know. Most mothers will still love their son, or fathers will love their son or daughter if they do the wrong thing. You know, we don't condone what they've done, but you know that doesn't change the fact that most people still love their children.
I wish it was the case with me, but
yeah, your parents just kicked you out, did they?
Well, they said I was stupid and ugly, but you know, yeah, I mean,
maybe ugly, but, you know.
Dude, not cool. We're cutting that. I am so going to voice out. Let me at the end like a fucking hurricane of craziness. I'm going to say that right now, that you are off. You're off the charts. You're all over the place with this. I think that we need to get a therapist and talk to you, because these season 7 fantasies are delusional, man. Delusional stuff.
Get Tara to be my therapist, and I'll agree to the.
Why? So you like Tara too? You like the over?
Yes. Until the last few episodes. Right. Again, why I hate this damn season. They made me hate on Tara. She just started doing stupid mistakes. Tara started pulling a Rosita, who I despise. Yeah, I said it, no.
Yeah, that makes sense. Bro. Jesus, I will. If I could, that is not a good idea. Rosita's a fine lady. You know what? I hope you get what you ask for, and you'll fucking... Jesus Christ, your Cersei thing seems like a fucking goddamn good decision at this point. But I love it. I love it. I love the off-kiltered BBM. Obviously, the new job has provided you with an outlet to methamphetamine or some type of psychological drug that is messing with you, and I'm all for it. If we start to see those pops disappear behind you, we know somebody can't pay for their habit. Let's take the final vote on and final notes on this, on if we think that the all-out war will end by the end of this season or if it will carry on. I will go first, and I think it will end, but because they're be like, well, who could do this? Like, you know, like a super soldier. They'll be like the guy with the baseball bat, and it'll be Negan, who'll have the beard, and he'll come out. Be not as cheesy as that, but that'll be the general gist of it. And then we will go to Milt first, Andrew after, and then BBM last. But please, sir, no more season 7 nonsense.
All right. So I think Alt War is going to end at the end of this season. There'll be a little bit of a time jump where Negan will survive, and he'll be in a cell during this time jump. And he'll probably be in a jail cell for only one episode, which is the season premiere of next year. And at that point, you'll probably see another threat come on in the show, which will probably be the Whisperers.
I agree. Did you call it alt-right?
The what?
Did you say alt-right?
Alt-right for what?
You said alt-right. Yeah.
It sounds like a racist conservative movement in the U.S.
Milt, who would you bring back?
Of course, my boy Glenn.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Just grouping together. I love you guys. All right, broke black man. I'm assuming Bob. No, what's his name?
Or Tyrese.
There's the one. Yes. Or that kid, that skinny little. Everybody hates Chris. Who would you pick? You can bring back one character. A female too, remember, guys. I know you guys have all picked dudes, which is very telling. But go ahead. BBM.
I wouldn't bring anyone back, to be honest. Like,
Jesus, you are insane.
Really? Like, come on. Who else do we really need back?
What do you mean need? Oh, is that what you said you go to funerals? Like, well, we didn't need them anyways. Yeah, no big deal. It's a choice. It's somebody to bring back. You bring back a life. What? You don't think that Maggie's kid needs a father? Actually, that should be me. I'll give you a chance to think, and I will pick.
I'll say Bob. Bring Bob back.
I knew it. Yeah, I hated Bob too.
Hi, everybody. Phil the Issues Guy. Huge happy holidays to Milt, Justin, and Broke. Huge, big, smelly hugs to all of you. Well, smelly hugs. I'm sorry. I didn't have a chance to shower this morning. It's been a really busy day, been all over the place. So if I'm coming in and I'm going to get up there, climb up, give you guys those big hugs, you're going to have to deal with the smelliness, and we'll just have to all deal with it together. And even if I'm just ridiculous, see, I can't do anything normal. It's going to leave you a normal happy holiday message to you guys and all the fans and listeners of In the Mix, but I can't do that. I can't fucking do that. I have to wear a stupid goofy hat and go, I was going to do that, and then wear my dumb hat over here and go, oh, hi everybody. I can't do that either. And I was going to wear the Viking hat and go, ba, 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 and then play the spoons and go, no, and then go, happy holidays. Or something silly or ridiculous like that. But I can't just do it normal and just say happy holidays to all guys. Talk to you next year.
What is going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a great Christmas. This is part 1 of 2 of the holiday special for In the Mix. Of course, this is something new that we're trying out, so it ended up being much, much longer than I expected. We have 3 group segments recorded, 2 of which will be released with tomorrow's final episode. Net neutrality, where me and Milt go head-to-head quite aggressively on the topic. Turns out to be a lot of fun and fairly educational. And also the Disney Fox deal, where we talk about not only what does this mean for our comic book movies, but what does this mean for the industry as a whole, what does this mean for streaming services in the future, and what does this mean for jobs within the industry. I'd like to say thank you to everybody that sticks by us and watches our content. Make sure to subscribe not only to Top Shelf Channel, the Justin Thomas Show, but Broke Black Man 94's channel and the Citadel Trivia. A special thank you to our great friend Andrew, who stayed up to the early hours of the morning to record that segment with us. I couldn't ask for better people to create content with, or better people to create content for. If you send in a holiday wishes video, weren't featured in this video, you will be in the one tomorrow. I really appreciate everybody that contributed, and again, I couldn't be happier with the response that we got. Happy holidays to you guys, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for coming in. Give me a few minutes because it was Christmas yesterday and I can't even remember if they thought there should be less Jesus or more Jesus, but I saw a line of people and it was definitely a movement and I needed to get in on it. I'm expected to at this point. I hope you realize that. That's why you're here. That's why I've made time for you guys.
Okay, well, you pretty much begged us.
There's the camera right there.
Yeah.
Understand? What's that? That's at you. That's a reminder to keep you in check. I will ruin you.
I thought that's what it means. I'm here to interview you.
Listen.
Instead, I'm sitting here listening to you babble.
Because I just got in, and there was Christmas yesterday, and some people were mad, and when people are outraged, I'm outraged.
You're not a leader, you're a follower.
There shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm not a leader, you're right, because leaders are corrupt, because power makes people corrupt. In my perfect government, as soon as somebody became incredibly well at what they did, they'd be immediately terminated because power, corruption go hand in hand. Anyways.
Well, wouldn't you have to include yourself in that?
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the show. A show that's about some of my shows. You don't need to watch the Justin Thomas Show or the Top Shelf Fandom channel.
Well, I don't think many people do, to start with.
Listen, I have to speak with you. You've been doing so many interesting things. And I said, listen, when we have the time, Allison, we'll try to fit you in.
I got tired of your begging.
Wasn't begging.
Pitiful.
And Allison, we're going to respect you. And I remember when I was first starting off and I needed that big moment.
Trust me, you're not.
Just stop talking as much. This is the gift section. This is organic water. Now, if you didn't know, the government puts a lot of chemicals in your water, and it's not to make you healthy, it's to make you content with your pitiful existence of following the leader, a corrupt leader, and an orange one at that. So here you go, Allison. This is without all the chemicals. I know you're probably on drugs anyways.
Thanks.
I don't know how that'll interact, but
wow.
Yeah, we get that.
That's great.
We don't go through any of those fancy streams or any of that. We get that straight out of the pond in the back of my friend Bill's house. And trust me, that has never been chemically treated with anything. So, except for this one spill. So, now this is the show gift box. I don't need the box back, but go ahead and show the camera if you can manage to, keep yourself in frame there. These also, okay, get it, and I'll hold it. The way she behaves during this interview is going to highly affect her life. So this right here is a hair, skin, and nail supplement. It's called On the Up and Up. It's to remind her to be on the up and up. And a generic ammonium AD for the sick feeling in your stomach that you will have if you blow this opportunity. Keep a hold of that. Next one, please. Thank you. This is the Perel wipe. I can't imagine that you're a clean person to begin with. This is to try to wipe the shame you will undoubtedly receive if you blow this opportunity. Let's get the throat coat. If your throat is sore after this interview for just spewing shit and so many lies. This, again, is not only a gift from the show, but a reminder.
Let's not forget about the screws that came out of your head.
No, that is actually a metaphor for if your screws are a little bit loose, if you get a little screwy during this interview and overstep your bounds, then you can have these and maybe talk to a doctor or something.
I mean, this is like the worst.
You've never got it. This, again, is not a show for pop figures as well. This is a serious show. So this right here, this is for the Justin Thomas show. Floki, we don't need you, buddy. Is it okay?
Yeah.
I do need that.
Yeah.
Net neutrality. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Okay, doubt that. So let's go ahead and explain it anyways. Pretty cool.
You can still drive.
This is I think this is going to be great.
Working at the FCC, you seem to have a lot of time.
And everything else you ever did on the internet. Like everything. All of it. All of it. What the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so recently in a interview with my fellow co-host, Milk K, we discussed net neutrality. It's, of course, a very, very sensitive topic. And I just wanted to make this on the first little clip from the show. This is a clip of the show that we might come across as having our differences on here. And I just want to clear it up. I brought in a witness that he might come off as being too far right, or that he is some type of a capitalist pig or something like that. And I might come off as very sensible and very, well-informed and well-spoken, and just, I'm not cynical. I don't think that the government is one big conspiracy, but I do want to bring up just JFK really quick. Just think about it. And I do want to bring up that although his views might be different than yours, don't judge my friend Milt too harshly. He has assured me he does not like Trump. I also do need to disclose his job is an exploration geophysicist. Sadly, that means his job is to find oil. We all know what oil does to everybody's lives. It gets you to where they want you to go, not where you want to go. It's hard to know where we want to go these days, but we know the net neutrality is going to make that pretty difficult to get anywhere. Now, people that are involved in big oil don't necessarily start wars. Probably was deeply involved with the whole Iraq war and everything else. So, could you say that was fair, ma'am?
Not really.
Thought it was fair. Did you like your gift box?
No.
Would you like to know what we're doing next?
No. Sounds terrible.
It's not great, but lying.
Nice interview.
It wasn't an interview, it was a disclaimer.
Nice sitting here.
Yeah, you didn't do a good job.
Well.
Did you enjoy your organic water?
Yeah.
It's Felicia, wishing you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and positive energy to you all. And no, we appreciate every single one of you guys here at the Citadel of Trivia.